But how do you know if that thing's in sync with that? Does it like tell you
with that?
Yeah.
No. So when I go and do the edit on a video, I watch for the hand clap.
Oh.
And I line the sound up from this with the hand clap on the video.
Oh, no shit. Oh.
And that's how I
that's some technical stuff.
Get everything to work together.
That's some very technical stuff, Chase.
I know.
Very technical.
Yep. It's high tech. All right. Well, hey, welcome back. We was having conversations on how to edit videos. And back to the Should Run with Gas podcast. I'm Chase. This is Kyle. We're at his shop. We got some nice engines behind us and a very nice wall full of signs.
Junk.
Signs.
Garbage.
Art.
Yeah, something. That was a. I started collecting signs on them a couple of years ago. I got bored in the wintertime, and Facebook Live auctions were a thing. And so I would be laying in bed at night. Bing, bing, bing. And Rachel was like, they're saying your name a lot. I'm like, yeah they are. So, a few days later, packages start showing up, and here we go, So that's how the sign thing kind of started there. But
I can understand that. I was on the way here. You know how Facebook will give you like a time hop things where it shows. Yeah. I had a post from 2014 that came up today that it was, I don't know what I was buying, but it said I was in the mood to buy something that I don't need or something like that. I looked at it, and it was from 2014, and I'm like, yeah, still accurate, because on Tuesday I'm going to go look at a cabin that I absolutely don't need. So
it would make an awesome line shaft shop or something. I mean,
Airbnb.
Yeah, there you go. So let's talk a little bit about Portland. We talked to our listeners and our viewers there last time we was together. It's been a few weeks. We were going to do a podcast there.
Yeah, but
it was miserable.
Hot.
Oh God, it was miserable hot.
And I think we both underestimated how long it was going to take to gather up our stuff that we was getting.
Yes.
Plus, wanting to see everything. That's the first time I've been to Portland to the August show ever. And I had a couple friends with us with the golf cart, and we was just driving around trying to look at everything after we picked up the stuff that I was picking up. And yeah, definitely. What I call you, like 2:30? I'm like, hey, you want to do the podcast? I'm like, not really. I'm like, okay, good.
Right.
Because
I was over
I'm hot and tired.
I was over it. I was over it by 9 o'clock. Just too many damn people, in my opinion. Too busy, too hustly, too bustly. But by about 1:30, 2 o'clock, it was just like a ghost town almost.
Yeah,
this was on Friday.
Yeah, and especially like in the swap meet end.
Yeah. People are packing it up and rolling out.
There was a stark difference from, I got there at like 9:30, 9:45, and everything, all the rows were packed full. And by the time that we left, I bet every row was about half the amount of vendors.
Right.
Now, part of our problem is we go and try to cram it all in one day.
Right.
So it's not really for as large as that is, it's just not really feasible. Now, yeah, granted, you're on a golf cart and you're driving around,
but see, I wasn't really looking for anything.
Yeah, neither was I.
I clearly I don't need anything. But I was picking up parts and this and that and stuff, and hauling shit for people, and which is fine. I don't care. Delivering some stuff, and it took forever to get from the field to the parking lot, because I parked in the center of the
he's right in the middle of the arena.
Yep. It took forever to get from the clear back. It'd take you half an hour, just because of the people. But
yeah,
I think the numbers were down this year because of maybe Rantoul. I don't know, that was going on, or maybe the heat had something to do with it. I have no idea.
I know. I'm glad we had a golf cart with us. There's no way.
Oh yeah, no.
With what I had to pick up and the amount of space it needed covered to really see everything.
It's still a great show.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You just can't cram it. I guess the point, you just can't cram it into one day. If you're going to go, expect to spend at least 2 days, because you got one whole day of just walking through vendors.
Oh, for sure. Easily
1 day of just walking through vendors, and your feet's going to be tired. Because they they did the whole alphabet, I think, for rows, and then they went into numbers. So that gives you an idea of how many people or how many rows were set up with people.
Yeah, I think they went into double letters too on the east side there.
Yeah, they may have.
But so, what was your favorite thing you've seen?
Well, being that I'm looking at a Racco or whatever that Russell's 6-horse he had set up there and running, I'm looking at a 12, and he had his there, and I've only seen Jim Rittenauer's 12 run over at
Cool Springs,
and then Russell's 6.
Right.
I'm like, you know what? I need to really get serious on that one I'm trying to buy.
Right.
After seeing his run, I'm like, you know what? That's a pretty cool looking engine. It's still enclosed crankcase, but it's a big vertical tank cooled engine.
Right.
I mean, it's like, again, nothing really special about it, but once you have the turntable base and all that stuff, that whole package, I think it's just kind of neat. So
you got in our shed, you can put one out in the woods.
That was probably my favorite, just because of I'm looking at buying one.
Right.
But the Atlas engines, the Kruger Atlases, that was there. From a distance, not being familiar with those, from a distance, I thought they was Famouses.
Right.
And then went up, I'm like, oh, those are Atlas engines. And then you start really looking at them, like,
I think those guys are from Texas.
Yeah, that guy was from Texas. And I'm like, I see a lot of design copying from Fairbanks and International in those Atlas engines. Just, the base almost looks like a Fairbanks base. The cylinder and the ignition and the head and all that stuff almost looks International, like that. Whoever designed those engines was stealing cues from Fairbanks and International at the time.
I don't know how that. I don't know if there's any relation there.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never looked into them engines because they seem like they haven't really migrated. I think they were built in Texas, and I don't.
Yeah.
And I know
there's a few of them around.
They haven't migrated this way that much.
No, they haven't. I'm trying to think. Somebody else has one here somewhat close. So I just don't know who it is.
Oh, I'm sure there's one around, but
I don't know if it's Tommy or
probably doesn't get brought out much.
Right.
But yeah, I think that was probably just because you don't see him. And he had that guy from Texas had it was like a 40-foot gooseneck trailer. It had 3 of them on there, so that was a nice little setup.
He's there every year.
Is he?
With basically that same load of stuff. Huh. And I don't know his name. Nice guy though. Seems to be a nice guy. And that's something I hate about Portland. You can almost guarantee who's bringing what and where they're going to be every year. It's like, okay.
Well, I guess it was good that was my first time at the August show, because I've always gone to the whatever just the swap meet is. It's on the other side where where they have all the campers. Yeah. I've only been to that.
Okay.
I've never come to the show. So.
We used to go to the show. I think I told you, we'd spend Sunday to Sunday up there.
Yeah.
And by Wednesday, it was just like, now I just go one day. One day's enough. I have a good time. Come home. Adios. I think my favorite thing up there, I don't know if you've seen it. It was a 4-horse tray-cooled Famous. It had every little bell and whistle on it.
I probably didn't really pay attention.
It was absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
It had a clutch pulley. It had the auto sparker. I believe it had the hot tube.
Ooh.
Had the tray cooler. I mean, it was super nice. I don't know whose it was. I seen it in drive-by, and then I seen it leaving.
Oh, okay.
They had it loaded up, and they were leaving with it. And I don't know whose it was, but if anybody knows, let me know, because that thing was just absolutely beautiful.
Original engine?
Oh, yeah. I mean, okay. I think it was, it looked original. Yeah. I mean, it had the nice skid. I mean, it was just amazing. I think that was my favorite thing there this year. The big radial, or not the radial, but the inline Allison or whatever.
Yeah, that Allison was there.
That thing sounded sweet.
Yeah. We was over standing by the big verticals.
Okay.
They were running, and that thing fired up. And I'm like, what in the heck? Because we hadn't seen it yet, and I'm like, why is there a drag car here?
Right. Oh, that was it. He wrapped her up a couple times.
Yeah, he did. It sounded good.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you can't beat an old.
Oh no.
Old airplane motor.
Yeah, they sound amazing. But no, I think that Famous or Titan or whatever it was.
Yeah.
That thing is just it had me horny. I mean, it was, I don't know why. And I love Famous engines, but they hate me. I don't know why. Everyone I've ever owned, like, always needed a lot of work.
Yeah.
I mean, it would sit there and run great. I'd buy it and bring it home. And it's just like, this thing's a turd.
Yeah.
So you just kind of got to go through them and make them not a turd. And then I get pissed off and just send them down the road.
You can always buy another one.
Oh, yeah.
That's the thing, like with Famous engines.
Yeah.
They're expensive, but there's so many of them out there.
Right.
And, I mean, they are a really good running engine, but I've got one. It's an 8-horse, and the only reason I have it is because it was cheap in an auction. Because there's so many of them out there, I never had interest in them.
Right.
I know they run good, yada, 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 but every show you go to has one of them, and I like to have weird stuff. So, But it was cheap enough, and it's going to be a nice little project.
Oh, so. Absolutely. There's a 10-horse in here somewhere.
Yeah. That one that Paul redid.
Yeah. Yeah. It still needs a few little things yet. Skid, cooling tank, finished getting the freaking paint off of it. And just a few things, Paul, he did good for what he did. He missed a couple little things, but hey, it's no big deal. I mean, I'm happy, and I think it'll turn out. Yeah. I'm gonna get the paint off of it here soon. I got the power washer sitting outside already, and I actually just ordered some paint stripper and some drain cleaner, not paint stripper, degreaser. No, drain cleaner, drain opener.
Okay.
Because I was reading some forums on there, these boys in the UK, and they were talking about stripping paint on the engines, and they use Drano and sulfuric acid. That's
okay.
an active ingredient in drain opener, and I guess when that water hits that sulfuric acid, it creates a heat, and it just breaks the
helps soften it.
Yeah, I mean, then you just take your power washer and. So we're going to give it a whirl here.
Yeah.
I mean, for $9, we got some Drano coming from the old Lowe's Home Improvement, which is not a sponsor of our show at no means. But that's where it's coming from.
No sponsors at all.
Yeah, zero, none. If you would like to, we'd be like, we would take some koozies or something, for a sponsorship, but whatever.
We can be bought with merchandise.
That we can, yeah. But... yeah, that's the only Famous. Well, we got 2.5 horse, and then I got another 2.5 that we're making a special project out of. So we'll talk about that later on when we get closer to it.
Yeah, I'm doing something similar with 5-horse Hercules.
Are you?
I was.
Well, you seen the 1.5, didn't you?
Yeah. I want to go larger though.
Right. Well, see, we need to talk about that because I want to have the pattern made for them hot tubes. I talked to Bill about this, about having the hot tubes made for Hercules 2.5 and up.
Yeah.
Which would also fit Associateds and Uniteds. Okay. So I'm going to make like a universal bung to do the 2.5 up Hercules, which would also fit the Associated igniter. Yeah. So, because I got, there's several people's reached out and said, hey, we'd like to have a hot tube for ours. Well, I don't want to make a whole bunch of them. But then again, I want to make enough, whatever, what I'm saying.
To make it worthwhile to go through the problem of having it drawn up and then cast. And yeah, I not to get off the topic too much of Portland, but I'd picked up a couple parts engines at an auction recently, and they were both 5-horse Herculeses. Right. And rough.
That looked like a good junky auction.
It was.
Was it?
It was a great auction, but we can talk about that later. But I picked those two engines up for literally $20 a piece. Really? So I have no issue in cutting the cylinder down.
Oh, yeah. Well, and that's the thing, though. I mean, those engines are so common.
Yeah, I don't feel bad.
No. I mean...
I got an idea. So I want to take a 5-horse Hercules engine and make it tank cooled. Mm-hmm. Now... that I got a guy that does our welding and our brazing for us. I'm going to just tell him what I want and just let him go to town because he's an awesome fabricator, and I think he'll do a great job on getting it and making it look like it was supposed to be like that. So I'm going to let him.
The hard part is do that. Sorry to interrupt you, but the hard part is on doing that. He might be an awesome fabricator and a welder, or brazier guy, but he also have to find that person that has the gearhead mentality. My neighbor guy here, he's a great machinist, but he can't wrap his head around a gearhead thing. Yeah, I mean, it's just like.
I want to give him direction, and he's just down the road, so I can always check in. But I want to have him do the cylinder, and I want to make it hot tube ignition.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
And I want to build. Work's gone. I want to build.
Pause it for a second and take the call.
I don't know if I remember how to.
I don't know. You can always edit it out.
Yeah, I ain't going to worry about it. I'll call it back later.
There could be a derailment in East Palestine again.
No. They're leaving the yard in Columbus, heading back to us. As I told them to call me.
Oh, okay.
I want to make my own mixer. But for it to be like natural gas.
Right.
My thought is taking off of like a Myrick Eclipse intake or an old well supply company intake where they're already machined with the valve and to let gas in and all that stuff. And they're 4-horse engines. That's a 5-horse engine. They should be pretty close. I'll make some sort of an adapter to adapt it to the bottom of the Hercules head.
The thread in, whatever.
Yeah, something to thread in. And just be able to use that as an intake. So that would look weird. It's going to have a hot tube on it and plus be tank cooled.
Right.
But I want to make it all look like it was supposed to be there. So that's kind of the
now,
idea.
Another guy we need to reach out and talk to is David Hobbs. He made a 6-horse M.
I seen that. He's had pictures of it there on Facebook. It looked pretty cool. And he did a heck of a job on the cylinder.
He really did. He really did.
Yeah.
He's like an engineer, some smart stuff. He does a lot of that 3D, stuff like that too. But he made that 6-horse, and then we were talking one night. And he's like, "I just don't know how to do the finish." I'm like, "Well, here's my 2 cents. Go get some Minwax wood stain and rub it on there and let it dry. See what it does." He did that. He goes, "It looks 100 years old." I said, "Bingo." He had a new fabricated part. I'll just take some wood stain and put on there. Yeah. And it'll make it look pretty old. I've done that to do recast stuff too. Yeah. Really works out good. But no, I think that would be a very good project, and I look forward to seeing that on your YouTube Cast Iron Curiosities channel.
Yeah, it'll definitely be on there. And I think I'm going to hop on that one pretty quick because I think that could be done. Other than getting the hot tube stuff cast, everything else could be done pretty quick.
Right. Oh yeah.
And I could even weld up a hot tube for the time being just to get it going if I really wanted to. But yeah, that's my thought.
I'm sitting here agreeing with you. It's going to be done really quick. I've been working on these for 3 years, 4 years.
Well, my really quick is years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're on the same really quick span.
Yeah. Well, I used to be able to get stuff done super fast.
Yeah. And then life happened,
life happens. Bo came, and and I am overwhelmed with projects, and for some reason, projects keep showing up. Yeah,
you and I are really good about buying projects and just letting them sit.
Yeah, it's
better to have it.
It's a piss poor execution.
But it's better to have it.
Yeah, just in case.
Just in case.
Yeah, some people say some people collect money. We don't. We collect.
No, we can give all of our money away.
Yeah, pretty much. But anything else cool at the auction? Tell me about this auction.
So I haven't been.
Tell us about this auction.
I haven't been to a good farm sale.
Dude, there ain't been no good junkie sales in a long time.
And I went to one last year, and it didn't have. It had a bunch of good stuff, but it was all like stuff you go to find at an antique store. Okay. Didn't have any things that really interested me. They had a couple engines there, but it was a huge sale, like 3 rings, just all kinds of old stuff. There was things there that you could like decorate your house with, like old Sinpico tins and
nice.
There was a couple dynamite boxes and just random stuff. But there was only a couple engines there, and that was last year, and that was the last big farm auction that me and Dad had been to. And I was telling Dad a month or so ago, I said I'm gonna be looking for a good auction.
Right.
and we haven't been to one in a while. And then I happen to have, I don't know, the stars aligned or something. A friend of mine, his mom sent me a link to an auction that was in Northern Ohio. And as I'm scrolling through there, it's a good auction when there's so much stuff that they don't even bother taking it out of the buildings. They just take pictures of the rooms of the buildings. And I'm looking at everything in there, and it's just like layers and layers and layers of stuff. And I sent it to Dad. I'm like, hey, we're going to have to go to this. And they had, I don't know, like 13 or 14 engines there.
Right.
Nothing special. It was all common stuff. The most uncommon thing there was a 5-horse round rod Galloway.
Okay.
And even in the picture, that Galloway was missing the hopper.
Okay.
And it was rough. It had sat outside for a long time. The round rod connecting rod, I mean, it had deep pits in it. It wasn't anything special. But in the auctioneer, they had 2 auctioneers, and they admitted at the beginning of the sale that they underestimated the amount of stuff that was there.
Right.
So they were already behind from the beginning.
Right.
And they did a good job getting through everything, but they were still pulling stuff out. Like, we got there an hour before the auction started, and they were still pulling stuff out, setting up on tables and things like that.
Oh, my.
And what kind of annoyed me is we got there, and when you go to an auction, especially something like that, you make a mental note where stuff is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we get there, and they're pulling stuff out that I would just assume was things that I thought was just going to stay where they were. Mm-hmm. So you get this mental note in your head. I'm like, okay, I got to be in this building at this time to watch this stuff sell because this is something I want to bid on. Well, by the time the auction started, a lot of the stuff that I wanted to bid on had moved to a table or something like that. So I was like, what the heck?
Right.
So it was kind of a pain in the butt. Now, luckily, I had my dad and Jeremy with me, so we kind of split up. And I told Dad, go this X amount of money on this, and I could go over to the other ring and bid on something.
Right.
And I mean, it worked out. I got a trailer load and a truck bed full of stuff there, but it was a good sale. That's the sale I got those 5-horse Hercules is at. Now, like I said, they were parts engines more or less. Both of them. One of them was missing the head, had no piston connecting rod, and the piston was really pitted. Okay. But I paid $20 for that one because I needed the push rod.
Right.
And then the other one that I bought for like $20 or $25, the hopper was unbolted, but didn't have the push rod. And I'm trying to think what else it was missing. I think the only thing that it was really missing was the push rod and some sort of ignition. And it was really clean. Had a good cylinder. It turned over and it looked
missing the push rod and ignition.
Yeah, that was all. Yeah, $20.
I know what you can do with that one.
Yeah, hot tube it.
Well, that or make a side shaft out of it.
I know, but maybe down the road.
Okay.
I want a quick project.
I gotcha.
And I could side shaft the other one.
Right.
But
double side shaft.
Because the other one's missing the head.
Okay.
So that could be a side shaft, a double side shaft.
Yeah. Make one run the intake, make one run the exhaust. I don't know. That'd be stupid, I guess. I don't know.
Not really. Crosley did it. Double side shaft.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
One was ignition, one was the...
They went out of business, too.
That's true. I'm sure that's why they went out of business. But yeah, it was a good sale. I picked up.
That was up in Randy Hartville, wasn't it?
It was about an hour from Randy. Randy was there. He picked up a few things. Okay, yeah, Randy was there. He picked up a few things.
Cool.
I did pick up an original Galloway saw rig for like a 6-horse Galloway.
Or like your 5. What is yours? A 5?
Mine's a 5, but this would be the newer Galloway.
Okay, like masterpiece stuff.
Yeah, it's for like a masterpiece. I don't think anybody knew what it was.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, you knew it was a saw rig, but they had a sub base and flywheels for Hercules, 5-horse Hercules sitting on it.
Right.
And, I came home with four 5-horse Hercules engines from that sale for a total of 2020, less than $400 for all 4 of them.
Really?
And I think one of them I only paid, the most expensive one was $300.
Right.
So... And it was one of those. It was one of those EK throttlers.
Right.
And it was all original paint. It had been inside. And crank guard.
Well, I'm surprised Mr. I'm bored all the time. Tom wasn't there, and
yeah.
spending,
I don't know. He missed it.
Yeah, sleeping, watching Gunsmoke.
Yep.
Still waiting. I'm still waiting on some pictures from him. He's back in the wintertime. He said, I'm watching basketball right now, and I'll get you some pictures. And I guess he's still waiting on. I guess he's still watching basketball.
I don't know.
'Cause I have not got no pictures of nothing. Whatever.
Oh well.
At Wienerhead.
But yeah, it was a good sale. I picked up some oil well supply, or not oil well supply, a National Supply Company book for the oil field, and then oil field journal books. That was just
right.
From 29, 30, and 31. It was just an advertisement catalog for different manufacturers, and they were in perfect condition. I don't think they've ever really been used much. So,
nice.
Yeah, it was a good sale, but there was a lot of stuff there, and
there hasn't been a good junkie sale around here. There was one in November up by Troy, Ohio, and had a couple of Rumleys and just stuff.
Yeah.
And I went up there and I didn't buy nothing. I spent all day, wasted all day, couldn't buy nothing because people were just going absolutely stupid over this shit. And antique dealers and some engine dealers and just people were just going absolutely crazy over this stuff. I'm like, well, whatever, have at her.
Well, and that's a crazy thing about auctions. All it takes is two people that want something for it to go for a crazy price. Because, that Galloway was at that auction.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, it wasn't perfect by any means. The hopper was off of it. They did find the hopper.
Okay.
So putting the hopper back on would make it a complete engine.
Right.
But I bid it up to $1,600.
Wow.
And then the guy that was next to me wasn't quitting. I could just tell him, I'd bid, he'd bid. I'd bid, he'd bid. So I bid it up to $1,600, what I felt comfortable with.
Right.
And for the shape that it was in. It didn't have any cracks or anything like that. It'd make a nice engine for somebody, but I've already got one, so I don't need another.
Right.
So that guy bought it, and I'm like, okay, he knows what the Galloway is. I'm sure he's going to bid on this Galloway saw rig too.
Right.
Never even lifted a finger for it.
No kidding.
So I'm like, all right, well. Then I'm like, okay, well, maybe he doesn't know maybe he's not a real prominent collector, and he just wanted the engine. And so that sold. That was the first engine to sell, and then they had some in the barns that were pretty rough.
Right.
Maybe they were complete but rough.
Right.
And me and Randy was standing there, and the things that were stuck, there was like a 3-horse Fairbanks that was stuck and pretty raunchy looking. And it sold for like $400 or $500. I'm like, that thing wouldn't even sell running for that. And I'm looking at Randy, and we're like baffled. And then we get to an engine that I'm expecting to bring a bunch of money because it's nice and it'd be a good one to run. And it doesn't. I mean, it went for more than I would have paid.
Right.
But it didn't go for a crazy amount. I'm like, okay, that's about what it's worth. That's what it should have went for. And then like I said, we get down to what I had, the $20 Hercules is. I'm like, it's just people.
There's no rhyme or reason to any of it.
Like what? There wasn't anything there. I can understand it. Well, it was like something that was rare.
Right. At that sale I was at, those guys, sorry to walk over you, they were buying the shit and listing it on Marketplace within minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know if they paid their bill yet. And they were standing there at the auction listing it on Marketplace. I'm like,
good luck, buddy.
oh my gosh.
I don't know.
Whatever. Hey, everybody's American picker these days,
The internet has ruined a lot of that.
Well,
maybe not so much the internet, but like that show, like Pickers. Oh. When it came out, Pickers was cool just because you got to go see stuff, and then everything doubled in value.
I quit watching American Pickers the day that they were here. They sent their scout crew here.
Yeah,
they were in the area. Scout crew stopped in here. My stuff was way too organized. He said, "Well, you got enough room for the 4 semis." I'm like, 4 semis? He's like, "Yeah, we haul the van in one with all the gear." And then we got 2 or 3 trucks that have stuff that we can plant, we can stash. I'm like, no. And when he told me that, the guy's name was Joseph Wells, I think. Mm-hmm. I got his business card in the house still. Anyway, when he told me that, I started watching. I watched a couple episodes, and you can tell where they plant stuff at. In this one episode, they found an old Indian motorcycle frame in the woods, and it's been there for years. Well, you can tell that it was laying on top of leaves.
Didn't even put the leaves over it.
Well, then I mean, it's like, really, come on, do better.
Yeah.
If you're going to make shit, at least throw it out there a month ahead of time and then let the leaves fall on top of it. It's like, do better. But, I know I have bought some signs and stuff off of Robbie Wolf.
Yeah.
He's a pretty cool dude. He's on Facebook all the time.
I follow him on Instagram.
Yeah, I'm not taking nothing away from those guys. They do what they do, but it's also a show. It's a TV show, and there's a lot of theatrics behind it.
It's been a long time since I've watched him because you could tell it got
right
staged.
Oh,
maybe,
yeah.
Or you could maybe not so much staged, but it was scripted. It felt scripted.
Right.
So
absolutely, but no, I'm glad you had a good time at the auction. There ain't nothing up here auction wise coming up anytime soon that I know of. That one I was at, they had a couple rumblies and some really good shit, but there again, I got enough for now.
Me too.
So I would like to find some belt drive equipment.
Yes.
I just don't know what. It really has to catch my eye.
Well, there's so many options that are out there. Well, you just bought that little Cushman. It's got a blower on it. Yeah.
It was on Marketplace. It was cheap. It's a Cushman. Ooh. But I tell you what, that thing runs good.
Yeah.
And it's got a little blower. If it's hot out, it's a nice air conditioning unit. Or I was going to get one of them.
I like your idea.
Flappy arm guys. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I like that idea.
I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, putting that. How many people, if you had that set up at a show and just how many people would come over just to see that and why it's there?
Right. That'd just be absolutely
perfect.
I think it'd be fun. But
speaking of belt driven stuff, we had a comment on the YouTube page about wanting.
Was it a nice comment?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
Our opinion on what these engines run or what guys are running with them now. Mm-hmm. So might as well touch on that.
Let's do it.
I guess I think
Facebook. I'm sorry to interrupt you again. Yeah. Have you been following? I forget who it was. He's on one of them pages. He has built a bubble blower.
No.
Yes, this thing is awesome. It is absolutely cool as hell. He made a engine, built it to a pump jack, which goes up and moves these walking beams.
Okay.
However you do that. One goes down and actuates a bellow, and then the other one does like a ratchet thing on a wheel that dips in the bubble. Yeah, it's the damnedest contraption you've ever seen, but it's so cool.
That's pretty cool. The things that guys are running with them now, you see normally everywhere is
water pump,
either a water pump or an ice cream machine.
Yeah,
ice cream maker.
Yeah,
that's the two things.
And everybody thinks that you have to have a John Deere engine to run an ice cream maker, and it drives me insane. I hate John Deere engines.
So do I. I have one because it was the first engine
I was ever
around.
Don't even want one. There's one here. I worked on it for a guy. It's going home tomorrow night. Adios, amigo.
Yeah, the only reason I have one is because it was the first engine that I was ever around when I was like 3 or 4 years old. So
right. Well, I can appreciate them.
Yeah.
They have their place in history, but no.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
Let me back up. If I was to own one, it would be a 6
horse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's only because
it's uncommon.
Right.
Yeah.
But other than that, I wouldn't have one, period. I'll work on them. They're easy to work on. They're fun to work on.
They are.
You can make them run fast. You can make them run slow. Whatever. But no, that's Some people hate Maytags. Some people hate Briggs. Some people hate Cushmans. Some people hate Salt Block Ds. I hate John Deere's.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of the Maytags. I can deal with them, but you hit the nail on the head with the Salt Block Ds. I
still love them.
I don't. Yeah.
There was one on the Facebook pages for sale for $300 on a nice little card. I'm like,
No thanks. But like you said, ice cream machines always have.
Yes, that's ice cream machine is related to the John Deere engine
John Deere,
for some reason.
That's all they've ever powered. Now we know that's not
right.
really the case, but yeah, we always used to take a display to the local shows when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd have a 2-hole corn sheller that could be belted up to an engine, had the conveyor, and then had the conveyor for the cobs to drop out, and then it had the conveyor to bag with. We'd hook an engine up to it and shell corn, and then we'd have a grinder,
right,
a grist mill, to grind the corn,
right,
and just to have authentic equipment.
Absolutely.
For people to understand, because you always get the question anytime you're at a show that somebody doesn't know, well, what were these things used for? My usual answer is, well, anything that a Briggs and Stratton or an electric motor is on today, these things powered back when.
That's exactly what I tell people.
Yeah, that's the easiest. So I'm like, well, that's kind of vague. I'm like, no, yeah, these were the electric motors of 100 and some years ago.
Right.
So, the electric motor just finally took over.
Right.
So, but yeah, the bubble machine's pretty cool.
You know, I have to send it to you. I forget who it was, but it's on one of them pages on the Facebook's machine. This thing is it's freaking awesome. I mean, this guy, I don't know what he does for a living, but he has a CNC plasma cutter, and I'm super jealous of that, and it's awesome. And the end of it right there. But I picked up an inverted air compressor a couple of weeks ago-ish. No, last weekend, 2 weeks ago, whatever. Well, the last podcast we did, we was up in the shop. It was hotter than balls.
Yeah.
And we left. We got done doing the podcast. We left here and went up to the Brookville, Ohio show.
Yeah.
Brookville picnic. And we hung out there for a little bit. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, these engines are sitting here. There's a lot of room on this trailer. We need something to do. Mm-hmm. So that's why I've been kind of looking for belt drive stuff. So I picked up a little inverted air compressor. Pretty nice. I'm going to clean it up. This is my plan. Here's my plan. I'm getting excited about this. I don't know why. I'm going to make a machine to blow up balloons.
Okay. You going to learn how to make balloon animals too?
No.
Okay.
Just, here's a balloon. Hey, here's a kid. A balloon kid. Well, that kid's going to be like, well, I seen one of them, Bo calls them pop-pops.
Yeah.
I seen one of those blow up my balloon at the picnic.
So what you need to do is whenever you get balloons, find some place that can put a name on the balloon. And be like, Blankenship's engines.
Oh, that'd be cool.
When you blow them up and you have little kids carrying them around. Yeah.
That is a Should Roman Gas podcast. I mean, we got stickers now.
Yeah.
We had some stickers made. Pleco Printing there in Lynn, Indiana. He hooked me up with some I picked them up at 6 o'clock that morning on the way to Portland. I pulled off the side of the road, 4 ways on. He had them stashed in the truck.
Yeah.
Boom. Away we went.
I handed a bunch out of Portland.
I'd like to get, let's back up there on the stickers. The logo, Lane Willoughby.
Yeah.
He made that logo. He's 15, 16 years old.
It's awesome.
He did a heck of a good job on it, and thank you, Lane, for doing that. We appreciate it. He is a listener. He likes when I imitate a certain person. I can do a Russell Farmer voice very well.
Oh, okay.
So he just no. I'm not trying to make fun of Russell in no means, but that man he has a significant voice that you could just listen to. He's we'll talk to him eventually and you'll understand why.
We actually have a logo now instead of the one that I generically made.
Sorry.
It's an actual logo. I'll update the channel pages with the new logo. Tell us what you think of it. He did a heck of a job on it.
Yeah, I mean he really did.
So we got stickers. I'm sure shirts and stuff will come down the road.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, Brantley up there, Pleco, he can do all that stuff for it. Well, he does all the shirts and the hats and stuff for Kyle Spring.
Yeah.
He sets up right over there, and he'll a week or two before the show he'll put it up on the internet, and you can pre-order and all that stuff.
Well, I plan on doing an actual website for my YouTube channel. Okay. And what I thought about doing was having the podcast integrated into part of that website. And I want to be able to sell, because I have merchandise available for my YouTube channel, which I'm not trying to make a killing on it. I think I've only sold like 3 or 4 shirts.
Right.
But I don't like the quality of those shirts.
Right.
Because they come from, I think, like Teespring, which is like Bangladesh. And
right. Hook up with Brantley up there. I mean, he's reasonable, does awesome work, and
So what I was going to do is I'm going to have that website. I have a grand scheme of the reason I want to do a website. These engines that I work on the YouTube channel, I don't necessarily want to keep them all.
Right.
So I thought about, okay, well, if these guys are watching this stuff on YouTube and I read a lot of comments, man, I'd love to have one of these. I'd love to have one of these.
Right.
Well, if I get a common engine, I get it running.
Right.
I don't want to sell it, try to sell it through YouTube. That's a pain in the butt. I was going to put a website together so people could go to it if they want to buy a shirt, hats, things like that.
Well, that'd be perfect.
And the engines.
Yeah.
Put the engines on there.
Yeah.
And you can already tell what I did. You can watch the whole video see that I went through the thing. You know what you're getting. I'm not going to jack the prices up on them. It's going to be the same as you can go on to an engine show and buy it. Right. It's just another outlet for me to unload stuff that I
that would be perfect because there's again, we was watching American Pickers and like, I want to buy that. How do I buy that?
Yeah.
Well, how the hell do
so that's my thought. So I want to do, that'll probably be this winter.
Right.
I have time, but I want to do a website for that. And then I thought about integrating the podcast into that too. So, if that's the case, then
that'd be absolutely awesome.
We could do a shirt or something with the podcast logo. So,
because
there's been such a huge demand with people like stickers. Everybody.
Oh yeah, I love stickers.
Yeah,
you stick them on everything.
Oh yeah.
Our train derailed, son.
Yeah, we was talking about belt driven equipment. And
yes,
stickers.
Yeah. Belt drive equipment. You see a lot of water pumps at shows.
Yeah.
You see some people that you don't see as much corn stuff anymore as you used to.
No.
Here a few years ago, I was fortunate enough to buy a grist mill. I had a 7-horse wit hooked to it, and we took it to the Brookville show. I mean, I bought it and literally took it, pressure washed it, took it to the show. We ground the crap out of corn. We were just giving away for squirrels or whatever else, but I ended up parting ways with that setup, and it went to the Ashtabula show up in Ashtabula, Ohio. I guess it's on display up there. A fellow bought it, and they put it to work up there. So I guess it's up there at that home now. But I always think it would be kind of neat to have like a little water pump set up, I guess, and circulate water or whatever.
The squirrel cage fans.
Yeah.
Yep. A friend of my grandfather's that got us into the engines, he always took a squirrel cage fan that had a pulley mounted on the shaft. I think it was originally like an electric fan for like duct work.
Right.
And he would hook an engine up to it.
Absolutely.
And be at shows, and he would just have it spiked down to the ground.
Right.
And it would blow wherever they were sitting in their chairs, and that was his AC for the day.
Right.
And I always thought that we have all that stuff now because we bought his collection, but that was. Yeah, I mean, I thought ingenious because you'd sit there and a nice hot day and you can just have a nice little breeze. The whole
you would
day.
think I would have something like I don't have nothing like that. We do have a belt drive drill press.
Yeah.
It was actually Rachel's uncles or great uncles.
Is it like a freestanding drill press?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I thought about setting that up on a skid or something to hook that to an engine.
Yeah.
That'd be cool because it was her uncles. It came out of their blacksmith shop or something that they had years ago.
Oh, okay.
So it's a local piece, 1, built local 2, and it'd make a neat display 3. Another thing I seen, Will Smith, he's kind of a YouTube guy. He had a neat.
I've seen some of his stuff.
He does really great videos.
Yeah.
He had a governor, like a big ass elevator governor, I think maybe sitting there hooked to an engine, spinning around doing nothing.
Yeah, in the last few years, those have come out of the woodwork, which are cool.
I would love to have one, and I cannot find one.
I know, and when you do find it, they're like $400 or $500.
Somebody had one on the Portland page there, going to Portland, this is for sale. I said, well, how much? And they gave me a price. I'm like, well, I'll take it. I said, I ain't going to be there till Friday.
Yeah.
I said, I can send you PayPal or however you want to do it. And ghost, nothing. Gone. Yep. Never did see it up there or whatever. Who cares? I'd like to have one just because.
They're just cool looking.
Yeah.
I got a friend, they've got a governor that was off of a large steam engine.
Uh-huh.
And I think it was in a boat or something.
Right.
But it's, I don't know, like 6 foot tall. And it's it's really neat looking. Flyball governors that kind of angle out like this.
Really?
And it's got an overspeed trip on it. Well, they mounted it to a permanent base in their shop.
Okay.
And he's got it on a VFD where he can speed it up and slow it down.
Oh, that'd be cool.
So they have it really slow, and it just kind of slowly spins, and it's all belt driven. And like I said, this thing's like 6 foot tall. It's a huge governor, and if you go up there and speed it up, it'll trip the overspeed on it, and and shut the governor down. And you can see where the overspeed trips and it slams the valve shut for the steam.
Right.
It would have been steam.
Right.
And that's cool.
Right.
Now, like I said, it's mounted permanently in there.
Well, I was up at the Portland spring swap meet.
Yeah.
And Nathan Grissom wheels in his trailer, big old steam governor. I mean, this thing is probably, I bet it was 3 foot tall at least. Yeah. I mean, just gigantic. And John Rosevink, he was there, and I pulled up, and John was looking at it, and I don't know if it was John or me. He asked Nathan. He goes, "How much?" He goes, $550 or something like that. I'm like, I look at John. I said, "You were here first, and if you don't buy it, I am." Well, and he did.
Yeah.
And I said, "Damn, I shouldn't have said that. I should have just handed him the money."
Yeah.
But it was cool. I'm glad he got it.
Yeah, there'll be more.
Well, that's all right. Whatever. It'll come back around. At least we'll have another opportunity to buy it again. So
yeah.
Sometimes you just don't. Sometimes you do. But that's neat. There's a seed sifter up on the shelf. You can't see it, but Chase can.
I was wondering what that was.
That's I mean, you would run your corn or whatever, it sift the chaff or whatever out of it.
Yeah.
I call it the marijuana seed sifter, but that came out of a basement down here at New Lebanon, Ohio. They were tearing the grain mill down, and that was sitting out there. And a friend of mine, he picked it up, and it actually belongs to him. It's his, but he didn't really have nowhere to keep it, so we put it up there. But we could belt that to an engine and sit there and. I was going to get like an old marijuana seed sack and fill it full of peanuts, styrofoam peanuts, just for S and G's, just something to do there. But
I've always wanted to build a little line shaft display.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
To just to have it.
Yeah.
And I thought about doing, kind of like you said, that cabin would be cool to put a line shaft in it. But
I always wanted flat belt driven ceiling fans.
Yes, like the gift shop at Cool Springs.
Yes, or Dave and Buster's has them.
Yeah, Dave and Buster's have them. The first time I seen them, we were down in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, like 20 years ago.
I think that would be so cool.
Yeah. Especially when, if they do multiple rooms and they cut the little window in the wall for the belts going through. I was like, oh, this is cool.
Yep.
Then I looked them up online. They're like $5,000.
Well, actually, there is a person, and I can give you their name, that has the pattern in the engine hobby community that has the pattern to make the pedestals and all the stuff. You're just going to make your own fan blades.
I could do that.
Yep. We can have him. I think we can probably get a hold of him, and he might let us use the pattern and have some of them casted up.
That'd be all right.
He's a pretty good guy.
Speaking of casting, there's a small foundry in the county next to me called Sandcast.
Okay.
And I know that they do a lot of work for the Amish.
Oh, really?
And it's all cast iron.
Right.
And I have been meaning to go to them.
You need to, because we need to find another outlet here.
Yes. And going back to that 12-horse Arco engine or Araco. Yeah, Araco. American Rail something.
American Railway Appliance.
Yes, American Railway Appliance Company.
Yeah, that's it.
It's kind of like AA Ron.
Yeah. You done messed up, AA Ron.
Yeah. And go down to Oshak Kennedy's office. Principal O'Shaughnessy.
Oh, shoot.
If you're younger, you might get that reference.
Right.
But yeah, I've been meaning to go down there to see what I could work out with them. Even if I could get patterns made to how they pour.
Right.
Could maybe have, like you said, another outlet to have something done local.
I mean, Cattail, they do an awesome job. Sometimes they take forever.
That's fine.
And that's all right. But I've been waiting on a couple parts for an engine in here, a Hagen, and it's been here for over a year. And I know they're working on this stuff, but I think they keep having the patterns blow up, or the castings keep turning out like crap or something.
Yeah.
And it's like, can we go about it a different way? Because I'd really like to see that thing running. I mean, it happens. I mean, it is a hobby. If I was relying on it to live on, it'd be a different story, but I'm not. So, and there's plenty of other things to work on in here besides that. But yeah, it's just definitely a different outlet, because that stuff is becoming a dying thing.
I know they do. I know this company, that Sandcast, does large castings, because they have casted the trucks for rail cars, which are a huge casting.
Oh yeah.
They've done stuff like that, and then like I say, I know they do stuff for the Amish quite a bit.
Okay.
So, if the Amish are having them do stuff, which I know would be large production,
right,
for them, but yeah, I'd like to.
Let me ask you something.
I'd like to think that I could probably.
You're in the railroad industry.
Yes.
That's what you do for a living. Bittendorf carts.
Yeah.
Okay. They made carts for gas engines. And I think they made carts or trucks for railroad.
I believe so.
Because if you walk out here to the old caboose, it says Bittendorf on the
truck assembly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
It's probably the same company.
Okay. I didn't know if there was any relation there. Or...
It's probably the same.
Okay.
I'm not really sure, to be honest with you, but it's probably the same.
Right. Is that thing still? Yeah, it's still going.
Yeah.
But yeah, back on belt drive equipment. Another thing. I just lost it. Washing machines.
Yeah.
There's some people that's doing
the wooden ones that or the double tubs or the single
yeah. That'd be another cool piece to put up on a display and use at a show. I think.
Yep.
Yeah, I think really the opportunities are endless with belt drive equipment.
I think that's going to be an untapped market here at some point, because with new people getting into the hobby, a lot of people are asking the question, what were these things used for?
Absolutely.
And I see coming down, I'm making a prediction, I see a market coming for quality belt drive stuff.
I think it'd be neat to have a big-ass apple peeler running off a gas engine.
Because people that are getting into the hobby aren't so much like what me and you do. We go for quantity,
right?
And
there was an old man, and I really respected him there for a long time until I found out otherwise. But I said I met him down in Kentucky at the Hillbilly Flywheeler show 15 years ago, and I said, well, how do you get this nice stuff? He goes, well, I go quality over quantity. And that stuck in my head. And then, I started buying more quality stuff there, and then now it's just kind of like quantity. We're buying quantity again. Anyway, back and forth. But yeah, I think you're right. The good belt drive stuff is going to be hard to find, and it's hard to find.
It already is.
Yeah, I mean,
because that was always the stuff at sales 20 years ago.
Right.
The scrappies bought it.
Right.
I remember being at a sale, and I think it was
because nobody wanted it.
Yeah, it was in like New Concord, and I wish I would have known, because that stuff, there was it was a blacksmith shop, and it had a power hammer in it.
Right.
Belt drive lathe.
Oh wow.
And it was all. I mean, it was a guy's shop that he built stuff in.
Right.
And it was stuff that he put together. But there's power hammers for blacksmithing go like $3,000-$4,000 now.
Right.
And I was driving, so I'm 30. Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah, it'd been almost 20 years ago.
Right.
I went down there by myself with a buddy, and I looked at this stuff. I'm like, that stuff's cool. And I just remember there was a scroungy looking guy that just bought it all for scrap. I'm like, man, if I'd known better, then I should have bought all that stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there again, if I would have known then what I know now, a lot of things would have been different. But there is out there in Illinois, Oblong, Illinois, great show, small show, awesome show. We didn't get to go this year. Life happened. Go figure. There was a fellow out there. I can't think of his name. Anyway, super great guy. Won't sell you shit, but he'll trade you.
Yeah.
I mean, he's one of them trader guys, but he won't sell you nothing. Yeah. He's got an awesome shop. It runs off of I think it's a 10 or 15 horse Superior.
Okay.
And it sits in the corner in the shop. I can't hardly walk through his shop because I'm big. He's kind of a big guy. You just got to turn sideways and do the shuffle. But he's got lathes in there, line shaft everywhere. I mean, it looks like you could die. Chevy transmissions to run the lathes for different speeds and everything. But he said, watch this. I said, I'm going to see this thing run. He says, watch this. So he gets his chair out. He sets his chair up to the front of the engine. He fiddles with his engine a little bit here and there, turns it over, puts some gas in it, goes up, sits down, does this, does that, takes the screwdriver, hits the mag, off and going. I'm like, that is amazing. I mean, it was just so cool how that, I mean, just so awesome. And he's got, I mean, the barn's been there for years. And this guy, I mean, he's been collecting stuff for 50, 60 years probably. Yeah. Pigeonhole boxes on the walls. Just one pigeonhole box is just spewing out with swing top oilers. Just, I mean, just overflowing onto the floor and everything else. It's just like, I said, would you sell me one of these? No, because I am looking for whatever. If you come up with one, we might do some trading. Yeah. I'm like, oh, you're killing me. But out there in Illinois, man, they sure love them swing top oilers. Yeah. They love them out there.
I've got a couple, but
I got one, and it goes on that Fairbanks.
Yeah. I've got a couple that I've picked up through the just random stuff. And,
right. But my favorite oiler is
they're cool, but I'm not into oilers.
Well, so. I have a collection of oilers. Yeah, my favorite is the Williams Worthies. I don't know how many I have. It's ridiculous. I like those. I like the Pal Vikings. Yeah. I think the Lunkenheimer. Oh, what do they call those?
The Paragons.
Paragons. I think those are overrated. Yeah. I have a couple of Paragons, but not very many.
I can understand a higher quality engine,
right?
Wanting to find the correct oilers to, because that's almost, now you're getting into the realm of like what people do with like show cars, putting it back to factory, where,
well, and that's
international, like the M's. They had they came with a certain oiler on it. I'm like, you know what? It's just an M.
I know.
I mean, it's cool still, to find it,
but still, it's like I don't know if you guys can see this, but there's a 12-horse Fairbanks N behind you. It has a Michigan oiler on it, but it's not the right one. Yeah, it's eating my ass because I got the original, the right one sitting over there on the cabinet. Yeah, I just haven't swapped them out yet, but
at least you have it.
Yeah, I got it. The Foose 15 behind me, it had nothing on it when I got it, and it took a number 5 Williams Worthy for the cylinder, and it used Williams Tacomas number 3s.
Looks like it
for the bearings. Well, trying to find 3 number 3 Tacomas,
about impossible, or super expensive.
Well, no, it just took forever. Yeah. I mean, it was possible, but I had to. I mean, they come from all over the country. The number 5, I searched for probably close to a year and a half or so. Yeah, and finally found a turd one, and Gary Stoner made me a filler cap for it, and kind of went through it for me because I didn't really know at the time. I didn't know nothing about them. That was a hard damn oiler to find, and I found a turd one. And since then, I've found a couple of nice ones, but your Fooses used Worthies, and I think the newer one, the later ones used Paragons. Okay, and then like your most of your Fairbanks used Michigan stuff. Hercules, I think they used what?
I've got a couple of original engines that have them on there, and I can't think of what the heck they are.
It's like an Essex.
I want to say Essex.
But it's not an Essex.
I don't remember.
Neither do I. Anyway, life goes on. We'll save that for another day.
If you know, comment below.
Yeah,
tell us what a Hercules oiler is.
Yeah, I mean, I know what they look like, but I can't remember what the hell they are.
Hey, speaking of comments, I'm the one that does all the editing and posting of the videos.
I'm not smart enough to do it. He knows how to do it.
I do all that stuff. So in case you was wondering who did all the editing and posting, it's me. We're trying to grow the podcast, and one way that you can help by doing that is subscribing. Yeah. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Subscribe to it on Spotify. The YouTube channel, I think I looked on the way down. It's got like 263 or 64 subscribers. But we're getting close to 1,000 views on each video we put out. So the more of you are watching,
just subscribe to us. Yeah.
It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. You hit the subscribe button, and when you subscribe, you get notifications that when we put a podcast out. Because at some point, I'm going to quit putting them on Facebook. Because I'm sure not everybody cares about the podcast. Right. And at some point, when I feel that we've gotten to large enough following, then I'll probably end up quit putting it on Facebook and notifying people. So if you want to stay up to date with what the podcast is doing and things like that, just subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything.
And a little...
and share it with people.
Yes. We're always open to topic suggestions.
Comment things. Yeah, we've been talking about the belt drive.
Yeah.
That was a comment that it may not be as exciting as he wanted it to be, but...
Well, yeah, that's true. But
I do have a story about belt-driven stuff.
Well, hell, lay it on us here.
So, I told you we had the corn sheller made cornmeal.
Yes.
We was at a show. I forget where it was at. It may have been the Dover Steam Show, or it may have been the Country Crossroads Show, which I'm going to plug here after a bit. I can't remember which one it was at, but we were making cornmeal out of just ear corn, feed sack ear corn. It is almost impossible to find anymore.
Right.
To get a sack of ear corn, because it's usually all shelled.
Right.
So, Dad had got a sack, and it had the corn weevils in it. They go in, when you have dried corn, you'll see a little hole in the kernel.
Yeah.
They'll have a little bug in it. We call them corn weevils. I don't know if that's really what they are or not, but we weren't going to do anything with the corn. Dad was going to take everything that we ground up and put it out for the deer to eat.
Right.
And this old lady came by, and she was probably in her 80s, and she wanted to know if she could have some. Well, I was grinding it, and I said, yeah, if you got a sack, I'll fill you a little sack up. Well, I gave her some, and it was cornmeal. It was pretty fine. Well, she took it home and made cornbread out of it and brought it back to us the next day.
No kidding.
Oh, yeah. Now, did we eat it? No.
Right.
But it was probably fine. But, yeah, she went home and had the family recipe, and she was all excited to bring it back. And
that's all right.
We tasted it, but we knew what was in that corn. It wasn't the best quality corn, and about every kernel had a hole in it from a little corn weevil. So, it was full of bugs. But, yeah, it was cool that she brought that back. Like I said, we tried it, but we didn't. We didn't eat it. But
yeah, the heat from the baking and probably.
I'm sure it was fine. Absolutely fine.
High protein cornmeal.
But yeah, it was kind of cool that she took that. That was she was older and she remembered from growing up.
And see that's this day and age that we live in. Unfortunately, not a whole lot of people knows how to do that now.
Yeah.
They don't teach that in home ec class anymore.
If there is a home ec, is there even a home ec class anymore?
I don't know.
I mean, they got rid of shop classes, so let's get id of home ec too.
That's a whole nother topic.
Yeah, we're not going to get political.
Well, no, but
it is irritating. That I wish there were shop classes, because when I was in school, we still had shop class.
They made me take an English literature poetry class when I was at the school down here for diesel mechanics.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell I'm going to recite to a diesel mechanic. Thou shalt start now.
Yeah.
No, that's not how it works. What I needed to learn was how to balance a checkbook, how to change a tire, how to change my oil.
Yep.
How to read insurance statements.
I remember we had home ec in junior high and high school.
Really?
Yeah.
Now they offered home ec at Arcanum.
It was a mandatory class. It was a class that you took in junior high and high school.
Well, see, you could either take shop class or home ec.
Yeah.
And I took shop class, of course. Yeah. Which I excelled in that by far. Did awesome. Actually, there's still a table somewhere that I built and never finished. But for somebody just to take ingredients like cornmeal and do that, it's kind of just getting to be a thing of the past.
Yeah, instead of going out and buying, I think it's like Jiffy cornbread mix or something like that. She knew what to do and went home and got her mom or her grandmother's recipe from 1823.
Right.
And made us cornbread.
Absolutely.
It was cool.
And I'm fortunate enough. Rachel kind of knows how to do some of that stuff. Mm-hmm. I mean, she's in there making applesauce and stuff right now. She went to the neighbor's house yesterday and picked a shit ton of apples.
Yeah.
And she's been freezing apples and doing apple cider or apple. I don't know what the hell she's doing. Applesauce, I don't know. Whatever. But shows coming up. Is there any shows coming up between now and? See, today is
September. It is September.
Oh my gosh.
September 10th.
September 10th. Yeah.
Yeah, September 10th. So coming up on the 16th, or the weekend of the 16th, is Sistersville.
Right.
The Sisterville's Oil and Gas Festival.
That is a great show. It's
small.
Very small show.
But it is cool to go down and BS with all the old guys. It's usually the same guys down there, but it is a good time to have a good BS
Fred
section.
Anderson, his dad, I forget his name.
Too soon.
His dad passed away.
Yes.
Great guys. They ran that show. Fred has done a great job. I think Fred kind of stepped aside a little bit, and is letting John Roop do it now.
Yeah.
But they run the big. They actually have the well. See, Sistersville was an oil boom town back in the day.
Yes.
We've been down there a couple times, and unfortunately, we hadn't made it back.
When you go down, did you go across the ferry?
Yes, we did.
So they closed that.
I thought it was back open.
And now it's back open.
Okay.
Because the other way to get there was a really long way around, and we quit going.
Okay.
Because of the ferry being closed. Well, now it's back open, so I
plan
on going down.
I know you can jump the bridge there at Marietta and go down to St. Mary's or whatever. And, we went across. When we went down, I took Rachel with me. We got on the ferry and went across, and she was freaking out. Like, what if the boat sinks? I'm like, okay.
Swim.
Exactly. I'm like, no big deal.
It's the Ohio River. It's not.
So we went across.
Not whitewater.
We went across on the ferry. It was $14.
Yeah.
And on the way home, we come across on the bridge, and it was a long-ass way down.
Yeah.
I said, well, what if the bridge collapses? I said, our chances of swimming versus falling are greater.
Yeah. Now, but I didn't know this. You can rent that ferry.
Can you really?
Friend of mine, he rented it. I think he rented it, or he had talked about renting it for his parents' anniversary, and you can rent it for like an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours.
Right.
I think 3 hours is the max, and you can rent the ferry, and the captain just takes you up river,
kidding.
or you just drive around for 3 hours in the water.
That'd be so awesome.
So he found that out. Well, he goes down there pretty frequent down in that area.
Right.
He goes to that show every year, so he's kind of familiar, and they go camping down there and things like that. And yeah, when they brought it back to get some more revenue for the ferry, you can rent it at I don't know what times.
Right.
And but yeah,
see
that'd be cool.
That's kind of a historical thing because there's only 2 ferries on the Ohio River that still does that, and that was one of them. I think they call it the Sistersville Ferry or something like that.
I think so.
But that was a very cool thing. But our favorite part about that whole show, I won the wrench throwing contest that year too.
Okay.
Hawkins is all puffed out chest. I'm going to win this thing, and I'm like, okay, Dave. So he throws it, and I don't know what 40-some feet. I'd like to see somebody beat that, and I take that thing, I chuck at that 18-inch pipe wrench, 80-some feet, and got a trophy. I'm like, here you go, Dave. Got me a trophy.
I remember Freeland Valley show in Chandlersville, just outside off of State Route 70, outside of Zanesville. They had a wrench throwing for the men,
okay,
and a cast iron frying pan throwing competition for the women.
I think they did that at Sistersville too.
They probably the same people went to that Chandlerville show.
Okay,
so they may have got that idea because the Gottschalks had a big twin cylinder. I think it was 110 horse twin cylinder Bessemer.
Okay,
and that was permanently displayed up until the show closed.
Okay,
well, Gottschalks go down yearly to Sistersville, so I'm sure that got worked in there somehow, or maybe it started at Chandlersville, or wherever it started at. But yeah, they had the wrench throwing, because I remember I was real little and I was doing the wrench throwing. I was all excited. I threw like 30 foot or something.
Right.
And some big corn-fed guy comes up and just yeets that thing just as far as the eye can see. And I'm like, oh.
Sistersville, another memorable moment for me. We would sit on, you're on the river, so we'd sit out there at night and just watch the barges go by. Mm-hmm. But I'll never forget this. We were down there. It was myself and Rachel. We stayed in a tent, which was absolutely terrible. I hate tent camping. Couldn't walk through 3 days because I was Anyway, John Burns had just finished one of the 4-horse reed projects that he built. We hauled it down for John because he had his camper. He couldn't get it in his camper because of the cart it was on. So we hauled it down there for John, and we were down there with Dixie Davis. It was John Burns, Dixie Davis, Mike Shelby, Rachel and I, Scott Hershey. Anyway, it was a bunch of us down there. So we wake up on Saturday morning. We're hungry, trying to find breakfast. Well, there's all-you-can-eat pancake breakfast at the Lions Club or whatever. So John Burns has his golf cart. So John Burns is driving his golf cart. Rachel's sitting on the front. No, I'm sitting on the front with John. Rachel's sitting on my lap. Dixie Davis, he unfortunately, he's gone now. He passed away here a few years ago. He's standing on the back acting like a wild man. We're hauling ass through town to find this Lions Club. Well, we find the Lions Club. It's in these people's house. So we all kind of look at each other. We go in. It's like, I don't know, $6 or $7 for all you can eat pancakes. And we got our plate of pancakes. We took one bite and we said, we got to go. It was the worst pancakes ever. And I was like, oh man, what do we do? I mean, because there's really nothing in that town.
Yeah.
The cemetery is awesome. If you go to Sistersville, check out the cemetery and check out the bank. The bank has the coolest vault you've ever seen in your life. Yes. It is a freestanding vault in the middle of the bank.
Is it like a glass front and you can see the inside?
Kind of, yeah, basically. It's just amazing. That whole town is old.
Yeah, oh yeah.
It's just an old town.
Well, it's an old riverboat town.
Yeah, that's old.
When they had because down in Marietta, I think it was this weekend, they have the Sternwheeler Festival.
Okay.
In Marietta, which it's downriver from I think it's downriver from Sistersville, or maybe whatever it is.
Upriver.
It's upriver from Sistersville. But it's right on the Ohio River, and that those are old river towns.
Well, yeah, I mean, Sistersville was
and then it had the oil and gas.
Yeah, that's what really made the boom for that town.
The boom for that town.
Absolutely. But that's a really good show. I really suggest looking into that one.
Yeah, so Sistersville is coming up the weekend of the 16th. I think it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but I think Friday and Saturday are the days to go.
Right.
I don't really think there's anything there on Sunday. And forewarn you, Sistersville, West Virginia show. It's a small show. Don't expect to spend all day there unless you want to go sightseeing.
Yeah, I mean,
or if you want to go and BS with everybody, then you can spend all day there. But if you just go there to look at stuff, there's not going to be a whole heck of a lot of stuff there. It's just a fun show.
It's just a great little show.
It's just a fun show to be at, and it's an old show too. And then after that, I'm not sure because I haven't been really paying attention. There's some auctions and stuff I want to go to, so I'm not planning on going to any shows. And then in October,
Brookville, Indiana's coming up here at the end of September.
Okay, Brookville.
Yep. Yeah. I haven't been down there in a couple of years. I like that show. It's a good show, but they put all the tractors on flat ground and all the gas engines are sitting on the freaking hill.
I hate that. There used to be a really good show up in.
It makes no sense to me.
It was in Ashland, I think, Ohio, and it was at the vocational center.
Okay.
And that vocational center had a nice paved parking lot that they always used to put the tractors in.
Right.
And this drives me nuts. I don't know why tractor people and engine people seems like that is a downfall of a show.
I don't know. That's ridiculous.
Because it happened at Dover Steam Show, and that club split, and that steam show's never been the same since because of the
happened at Dark County Steam Thrashers and Greenville Farm Power too. And
Ashland, it happened at Ashland because the tractor guys. And this is why I don't, as an engine guy, because I could care less about tractors unless they're like steam engines or like oil pulls or things like that.
I like everything.
The tractor guys wanted moved from the blacktop parking lot into where this vocational school had a big mowed wooded shaded area.
Okay.
And all the gas engines were always in the shaded area. Well, to me, if you're running a gas engine, you want to stay by it. Well, if you're staying by it, you want to be in the shade. Right. To me, that was the perfect place to have the gas engines because what do you do with tractors? You line them up and people just walk around and go look at them, in my mind, unless you're out plowing or things like that.
Right.
A handful of people sit with their tractors, but I don't see it as much as like the gas engine hobby.
That's correct.
So that show was an awesome show because it had this huge, multiple acre wooded area that was mowed and it had trails in it. I don't know what the vocational school used it for.
Right.
But it was kind of like Brookville's Park,
right?
Kind of like that, but a lot more shaded cover, and they were big trees.
We used to have a lot more shade until John Weist went in there and started cutting trees down. Well, they had to ash bore, but
okay.
So they had to. Anyway, go ahead.
But yeah, that was an awesome show, and it had nice stuff showed up to Rex Messenger. He had a 7. This is where I got my bug to have a Stickney.
Right.
That's the first place I'd ever seen a Stickney engine. It showed up there, and there was some nice stuff that showed up. And then I quit going to it just because I was in high school and I had some other interests at the time because I thought I wanted to be a big truck pulling superstar. And at that time, the truck pulling thing, you could still afford to get into it. It wasn't $100,000 motors in these trucks. We used to drive our trucks to the truck pulls and pull them and then drive them home. That's
what we did too.
Yeah, and you'd win $500 and you'd blow it on the way home.
I won $2.50 one time at a truck pull.
Up around us, Shotgun Red, the pulling tractor, is real big. And then we've also got Monty McCoy, whatever his tractor is. So we had some like really big names that was in the tractor pulling industry. Well, Shotgun Red, which is owned by
There's
John,
actually
John Wilkins. His boy was a couple years older than me, and he got into the trucks.
Okay.
So they had pretty big sized purses.
Right.
Plus, there was a few diesel performance shops that were local.
Okay.
And yeah,
there's a couple of gas engine guys in the hobby that's in the truck pulling too, or the tractor pulling scene as well.
Yeah.
One sells lubricants or something, Schaefer's lubricants or something like that.
There's a lubricant guy by me that I tried to message trying to get him to sponsor me. Angry Farmer.
Okay.
Which he does truck pulling.
Well, they actually put the tractor pull on down here at Eaton, Ohio in the wintertime.
He's big. He's got like 2 or 3 trucks that and I think maybe a tractor that he either has or he sponsors. And I messaged them through their Facebook page, their email, and I know who the guy is.
Right.
And I even found, this might be stalkerish, but I even found his wife's, I think, Facebook account. I sent the same email. I just copied and pasted the email that I sent him. No response from any of it. And they're a local to me company that does this Angry Farmer lubricant, and it's really good stuff. It is really, really good stuff.
I can't find it. I don't even know where the hell you get it.
It's a foaming penetrate. I'll have to bring you some down. I think I've said that before, and I haven't done it yet.
That's all right.
But it's a foaming penetrating oil.
Okay.
So when you spray it on, it foams and doesn't run off. Oh. It doesn't dissipate. Like if you're spraying on a vertical surface, where you spray it, it stays and it foams, and that foam will eventually go away, but it just stays where you spray it.
It works into
whatever, and it really creeps. Like you put a drop on cast iron, just a little drop on it, it'll spread out to like a 4 or 5 inch circle.
No kidding.
It's some good creeping stuff. You know, like Croyle.
Right. I love Croyle.
I've always used Croyle.
Right.
And I like PB Blaster too.
Yeah.
But that Angry Farmer penetrating oil.
Right.
I like it. And I might be just because it's a local guy and I like supporting local.
Right. Somebody was here at Kyle Spring, was it this year or last year? And the igniter was stuck on the Ohio, and he says, "Here, try this shit." And I forget what it was called. I had to ask him next time I see him.
You seen that stuff that they sell in the at Cool Springs in the gift shop?
Really good shit.
Yeah. I chuckle every time I see that. I've never tried it.
I don't know if it's real. There's some people,
just funny.
A lot of people use that Gibbs stuff, and I've never used Gibbs. They say it's really good. But I like the Croyles. I've always had good luck with it on the Zep 45.
Yeah, I've always used Croyle.
JB80, Justice Brothers 80 seems to work pretty good too. Yeah, it smells pretty good. You get it in Menards.
Have you ever tried for like unsticking a rusted piston beeswax?
Yes, I have.
I've not done it, but I've heard a lot of good things.
I have not done a piston. I'm sorry. I have not done a piston, but I've done nuts and bolts studs and stuff like that. Very good results. Actually, I've used crowns too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Instead of eating them, okay.
Yeah. I mean, you just do your bolt and take a bite. And
my favorite flavor is red.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well. Well, ladies and gentlemen.
We're going. We should probably.
We wasted enough of your time on this one. We're going to get together here in the next probably 2 to 3 weeks. I think so.
Remind you, if you're still going to do it, and this is my plug for that local show to me, the Country Crossroads Education Show is the third weekend.
That's in Dresden.
It's in Dresden, Ohio. It is in the third weekend of October, which happens to be the same weekend.
My plan
of Cool Springs, and I think we had talked about it. We were both planning.
I'm going to go to Cool Spring Thursday and Friday.
I plan on being at Cool Springs Thursday and Friday. I plan on taking a bunch of stuff to the Country Crossroads Education Show prior to me going over to Cool Springs.
Okay.
We do plan on doing some more podcasts because they seem to go over pretty well. The tales from Cool Springs that we did.
Yes, we're going to do a couple more at Cool Springs.
A couple more of them at Cool Springs.
Yep.
And for everybody, I know nobody commented about it, but I know the audio on the Paul Harvey episode was absolutely horrible. A friend of ours,
Avery
Brockmeyer.
Yeah, I think so.
he graciously went through and
Yes.
made the audio better. Probably when I edit this one, I will also redo Paul's with better audio.
Right.
Because that was such a fun episode to do with
It really
him.
was, yes.
And I want everybody to be able to hear the same things that we heard.
Yes.
Instead of having to sit there and like, what'd he say? What'd he say? And kind of interpret it. Avery did a heck of a job.
Okay.
Getting the audio way better.
Yeah,
and thanks to him, I'm going to redo that episode. And Avery also has his own YouTube channel that is based around the old engines. I believe it's called Cruddy Cornstalks.
Cruddy Cornstalks.
So if you get on YouTube,
check him out.
He's doing the same thing like I am with Cast Iron Curiosities, and he's got his own little style on it. He's a younger guy. I think he's
23,
yeah,
22, 23.
I think he's a 2000s model because I posted on Facebook last night those old pictures, and he put on there that was in the 2000s.
Okay.
I think he is 2000. so he's only like 23. So he's a young hip to the audio stuff guy. So check out his channel. Like I rambled on earlier, subscribe to ours.
Yes, please do.
That helps the channel grow. That helps the word get out there. Like it, share it. The YouTube algorithm, when it gets interaction, or even Spotify, when it gets interaction with the audience, it pushes it out more for other people to listen to. And
the main goal of this is to bring people into
bring
the
other
hobby.
people in. Yeah. People listen to podcasts for just weird reasons. I'm not a big podcast guy, but the ones that I do listen to have absolutely nothing to do with anything that I do in my own life. It's just two or three interesting people talking about stuff that they do in their lives, and they're good to articulate it. I hope we're doing that.
Yeah.
On this.
Yeah.
Where, and if we're not, let us know. Any feedback's good feedback.
If you want us to shut up and pack it up, we can do that too. I mean, it's whatever you guys want. I mean,
yeah.
We've
got good feedback, but if
this was an idea we created back in the wintertime, and
you messaged like, hey, how about a podcast?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be cool. We've had fun doing it so far, and
I mean, we both like to talk, especially about the hobby.
And I think here, once wintertime gets here, we'll be doing a few more than what we have been during the summer, only because we'll have a little bit more time. With jobs and everything else. I know our work will slow down a little bit. And I think yours might too. And
usually does.
And we'll have a little bit more time to do stuff and get together more. And I really hope we do.
Let us know what you think.
Yeah, your feedback and your ideas, and I think I'd like to try to get this machine here to do a phone call in from.
I think it's right here.
Is it?
Yep.
We'll have to figure. I mean, if we can figure out how to do this, we'll be glad to give somebody a phone call, be like, "Hello, this is Bobby from Connecticut," or something like that.
Long time listener, first time caller.
Right there, you go. I mean, like the Mark K show or something.
Yeah.
But,
Bob and Tom in the morning, or wherever that was.
Yeah, that was in Indianapolis actually. But yeah, we'd like to have a little bit of feedback, but hopefully we'll do another one here in the next couple weeks, and then. We're going to Cool Spring.
We started to talk about that.
Yep.
The Country Crossroads Education Show is if you ask me, it's the best little show in Ohio.
Okay. Okay.
And that's my personal opinion, but it is an awesome little show, and the reason I'm plugging it is because I've already talked to the people that run it.
I say now, boy.
And they have a little narrow gauge railroad set up that has like a little Plymouth locomotive and a couple cars, and they do donation train rides.
Oh, I'm gonna go broke.
They have they call it the digger area. They have a John Deere. It's like a little John Deere dozer, but it has a backhoe attachment on it. And then they have I don't know if it's donated for the show, but they have a Mini X there. Donation to let your kids go up and run equipment. And then everything else that's there, there's a big pan, a big Euclid dump truck. There's I think a Bay City like shovel. They've got a couple cranes. They usually bring in a blacksmith. They had Gravely tractors there last year.
My buddy Joe went up there to that last year.
Gravely swap meet was there. They bring semis in. They've got an old grist mill that they moved there, and the whole grist mill is like 3 stories, and it's just full of stuff. It's put on by the Moore family, which they're big into Alice Chalmers. They used to have more equipment, which used to sell the old Kawasaki mules back in the day. And but anyway, where I was going with that is I plan on doing a YouTube video there to kind of promote that. And then I talked to Kendra, which is the one that would sit down with us.
Okay.
And it's an interesting family. I think it'd be the grandfather or the father of the boys that run it now started it at a location at his farm up the road.
Okay.
And I'd like to sit down.
You can see it right off of, what is that, 16?
Yeah, State Route 16 and
Dresden, Ohio.
And 60 at the intersection.
Yep.
When you drive by it, it looks like a farm that has a half-scale railroad that runs through it. And there's all kinds of stuff there. I'll link in the description of the videos how to find it. But like I said, third weekend in October, Saturday and Sunday is when they have it there. I always go to it because it's like 5 miles down the road from my house. And I always set up a bunch of neat stuff.
I think we were going to get a Cool Spring Thursday, Friday.
You was going to come home and swing by on Saturday, I think.
Yeah, well, we're going to head home Friday night, grab a motel.
Okay.
Somewhere close, and then hit that show Saturday, and then come on in the house.
Well, Bo's going to love it because there's
he'll freak out.
Train ride, he can run equipment, things like that.
Right, him and I'll be fighting over it.
Yeah, so
with train rides and the equipment and stuff. It'd be fun.
But yeah, it's all donation. The family puts it on.
Look forward to that.
They've done it for years. I think this is like the 13th or 14th, maybe even 15th year at this location.
Okay.
And like I said, Kenny Moore Sr., this was his dream, kind of like what ours is, to promote this stuff to the younger generation. And they do a heck of a job because the amount of kids that come through that place is insane.
Right.
It is not a bunch of old guys that show up to look at old equipment. The majority of people there are people that have young kids, and all you see is just kids walking around, and they find this stuff interesting. I don't know what it is about that area and that family that has got the draw, but
that's awesome.
It's an awesome little show. Like I said, best little show in Ohio.
Well, we look forward to talking to everybody here in a couple weeks or whatever.
Yep. So sometime in October, I think we did either the end of September or beginning of October, we're going to do another podcast.
Yep.
And then the plan is Thursday and Friday will both be at Cool Springs, and then I will be both days at the Country Crossroads of Education show, Dresden, Ohio, on that same weekend, third weekend in October, Saturday and Sunday is that show. And there's a lot to do there, so if you have time and you're in Ohio.
Well, then after that, there's the Portland Fall swap meets coming up.
Yeah, Portland Fall swap meets after that. I wish I had a show book here to go thumb
I got
through.
one in the house, but I thought about having the first annual Kyle Springs swap meet here this fall. I don't know yet. Nothing's set in stone, but kind of thought about it. Just a one-day Saturday swap meet only, because I don't want to clean this barn more than once a year.
That's pretty clean.
But yeah, just to bring your shit and sell it type of thing. I don't know yet. We're still working out the details. So if we do, it'll definitely be after Cool Spring.
This is a topic for another podcast because we're already at almost an hour and a half. But
are we really?
The logistics of this hobby. I want to talk about the logistics and how things move around because, as you know, you deliver stuff for people. I deliver stuff for people. People deliver stuff for me when I buy it.
There's a pedal tractor that showed up yesterday here from Muncie, Indiana. The guy dropped it off here because he was heading to his granddaughter's in Dayton.
So where's it going?
It's going to Cool Spring to end up in Canada.
Okay.
So
the logistics of this hobby is so unique because I will find an engine out of state.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want to buy that. And if I can't get it via Fastenal shipped to me, if they won't work with me, then I'm like, who in that state do I know, and how close are they in relation to this? And can I trust them to not buy this out from underneath me?
Right.
And then it works its way. So I know you've done that before. We've all done that. So I'd love to talk about that.
But hey, we appreciate you guys listening.
Thanks for tuning in.
And until then, what do you say?
Go out and get your hands dirty.
Go out and get your hands dirty.
Go out and work on something.
There you go.
Go out and touch grass. Get out of the house. Go touch grass. Go work on something. Get your hands dirty.
I'm going to go power wash an engine and strip paint.
So thanks for tuning in. Like I said, subscribe. It helps. Like it. Share it. Check out my YouTube channel, Cast Iron Curiosities. I just uploaded a video of project updates and kind of where the channel direction.
It's a great video. I suggest you watch it.
It's a lot of me talking, so if you don't like me talking, I suggest maybe skipping the
Put it on mute.
First 15 minutes, or put it on mute, because I do a little shop tour and
He's
some
got
of the
some
projects.
cool stuff. He's got some signs in his shop that I'm arm wrestling him out of.
But yeah, check it out, and then check out Avery's channel,
Yes.
Cruddy Corn Stalks. He's got a few videos, some air cooled stuff, just some different stuff than what I'm doing. So check his stuff out. I think he's probably around 3,000 subscribers or something like that. He just started that channel, so
He's a good dude.
yeah, he's a good dude. So check him out. And again, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for sticking with us for an hour and a half of us rambling. And like I said, until next time, go out and get your hands dirty.
Adios.
Later.